Did you know that real piano players look at more than just the notes on the page when they read music? They're actually using a few other techniques so they can read and process the music much, much faster. Well, today I'm going to show you what these techniques are, as well as a lot of the things you need to be on the lookout for when reading music. So let's get right on to the lesson. Okay, one thing I really want to tell you about is that mastering reading notes is all about one thing, basically, and it's reading notes in groups rather than individual notes. So let's get on actually to our first grouping. Just remember, it's all about reading notes in terms of groups. All right, the first type of grouping we're going to talk about is intervals. I've actually made a great lesson on intervals, which I will put in the description for you to watch once you're done watching this video and you want to learn more. But basically, an interval is the distance between two different notes. It's basically the simplest form of reading notes in groups. So notes, what I mean by the distance of two notes, you have two notes, right? And the interval is the number of notes between those notes, or like including those notes. So when I play these two notes, C and E, that's what we call a third, because you count the note you're on, one, the note in between, and then the note you're going to. So it's a third. If I play from C to G, that would be a fifth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. An octave is called an octave because think about other things with oct, right? The word oct means 8. So like an octopus has 8 tentacles, an octave has 8 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's the most basic explanation I can give you of intervals. If you want to learn more, check out that video I mentioned. Okay, next we're going to take intervals to the next level. You can look at intervals in different ways, either up and down harmony or left to right melody. So what I mean by that is, let's look at this first measure here, the Pathetique Sonata. Now, this may look very, very complicated to you, but I'm just going to give you a generality of how you can read intervals. So you can read intervals from left to right, meaning harmony. So if you take a look here, I can, match up the interval from like here to here. That's left to right. And the note doesn't move. We call that a unison. And then it still doesn't move. And then, it moves up by a second. And then it moves up again by a third. So I am reading music from left to right. Now you can also read intervals another way. And you want to get good at reading both ways. Okay, now we're going to talk about how to read them harmonically. Well, this means up and down, right? Well, let's take a look here. So I can read the distance between these two notes, and they're up and down this time, not left to right. And I know right away that that's a fourth. The one below that is a third. And if I combine all of them quickly, I can play the chord that's there very, very quickly, rather than just saying, okay, there's a C, and then, what's that down there? That's a G. What's that, an E flat? And then playing it, I just know I'm so good at this that I can read them up and down and figure out what the intervals are. Now, keep in mind that you're going to have to know how to read music first. Don't think that you can skip reading music and go to exactly what we're talking about tonight. Reading music is a very, very necessary stepping stone into understanding the concepts we're talking about. So you want to make sure you have a firm grasp on that before you really start tackling intervals. This is really after you get the basics down. Okay, the next topic is chords. So I mentioned chords a little bit in our last section, which was reading intervals up and down. Let me actually show you what I'm talking about. So what I want you to do with chords is that you need to master your chords. I actually have a lot of lessons here on YouTube. I'll provide a link in the description to a playlist you can watch on how to figure out chords and how to master them. You want to, and what I mean by mastering chords is know how to play a chord and know what 3 or 4 notes make up that chord. Like F major, I know instantly that is made up of the notes F, A, and C, because I've been doing this a long time. I know, G major in second inversion looks like that, and I know what they look like on a page too. So this is just something you'll have to master. But mastering your chords is very, very useful in learning how to play piano or how to read music much faster. So just taking a look at, maybe we'll go over a measure here, and just taking a look right here, I can see right away, if you don't know what a chord is, it's like two or three or more notes at the same time. So right here, that chord right there, I know that's a B diminished chord because I've been practicing and studying my chords for a long time. So chords is another stepping stone beyond intervals that if you master, you will be able to pick these out a lot easier in the music you play. Let's talk about another thing you should be on the lookout for. Okay, another one is scales. So many people skimp out of the scales. They don't understand why they have to learn them. But here's one of the reasons right now. So let me show you how you can read a scale in actual sheet music and get it much faster. So let's get to it. Okay, here's a real scale in our sheet music. Keep in mind that a lot of times when we see scales in real music, they don't appear, you know, from beginning to end a lot of times. A lot of times they'll start like in the middle of the scale and like go around in the notes of the scale. But it's still really useful to be able to pick out the scale because a scale tells you what notes basically are in key from the starting note to the ending note and any of the flats in between. So right away, I'm taking a look at, you know, this little section of scale here. I don't know, maybe to like right there. It starts on G, but that doesn't really mean it's a G scale. But because I know my scales really well, I know this is an E flat major scale. And because I know the fingering and I know the notes of the scale, I can immediately look at this and play that really impossible looking, well, if you're new to piano, really impossible looking passage very easily because I know my scales. Again, scales is something you're going to have to brush up on. I'll direct you to some links in the description. Okay, some other patterns you want to be on the lookout for include the Alberti bass, arpeggios, and chromaticism. So let me show you or tell you what all three of these are about. So first things first, that's the one I want. Alberti bass is basically when you have a chord and you're playing it, and then the next thing is an arpeggio. An arpeggio, all an arpeggio is a note, but instead of playing it as a block chord, you're playing the notes separately, like that. Now, all in our Alberti bass is that when you go to, from the bottom note to the top note, middle, top, bottom, top, middle, top, that's just an Alberti bass. And they're in all kinds of music. Another thing we have here are the arpeggios, as I've mentioned, and another thing is chromaticism. So what chromaticism is like when notes are going from G to G sharp, A to A sharp, B, C, and they're going up every single note. If you can identify when that happens, it can make reading music a lot easier. To pick out a few of these things we're talking about, we have some arpeggios down here in the left hand, play them just like that, and knowing them makes things a lot easier. Let's go on to, let me see if I can find you some chromaticism. So here I have a little passage starting from right here. And that's a chromatic passage, and because I know I've studied my chromatic scale on how to finger those with the fingering that you need for your hands, it makes it playing a lot easier, and I can spot that out right away. So be on the lookout for some of these other patterns in your music as well. Remember, it's all about reading notes in groups and instead of individual notes. Okay, I want to let you know really quick that over on my website, pianolessonsontheweb.com, here we go, let's look at the whole thing here, that I have courses that I made over there. So if you like what you see over here on the channel, you're really going to like what you see over there in my courses. So what can you expect from a course? Well, they have instructional videos like the ones you see on the YouTube channel, except they're exclusive. You're not going to find these on the channel. But they have the same types of videos that you like, along with printable sheet music examples, assignments, printouts, and real sheet music to play. A lot of things to really take your piano playing to the next level. One course that I recommend here, I even have a course on note reading. However, because it's a smaller course, it's actually bundled in with Introduction to Piano and Music. So let's go here. Oops. There we go. So you click on the My Courses page and scroll down. You can see that I have a course on how to read music, and then also a lot of other courses on how to play the piano. So go over there, learn about these different courses. There's a preview video and a description page for each course. One thing I want to mention is that you can buy courses in bundles. I have the beginner's pack if you're brand new to learning music. That's great. Intermediate pack, advanced pack, and then you can get all course access. One little tip for you as a thank you for coming and watching our lesson today is that if you use code YouTube, you can get 15% off any order of courses. So I want to let you know about that if you wanted to learn more about note reading, more about piano, much more beyond the YouTube channel, that you want to head over to pianolessonsontheweb.com. Okay, so once again, as always, if you want to learn more, which of course you do, or if you want to catch up and so you can basically understand exactly what we were talking about tonight, you want to check out this awesome playlist I have for you about reading music and getting better at reading music. You definitely want to check it out, and you definitely want to subscribe because we have 2 new videos a week and you don't want to miss out on them. So thanks everybody for coming out, and I'll talk to you in the next lesson. Thank you so much.